You are now listening to Handsome Reads. Hey, greetings, loved one. What is you seen? I hope this greeting finds you well and in the best of spirits. Now, I'm not really one on the, I'm not really big on the whole promoting bit, and most times I rather hit you with some positivity before we dive back into the world of Army of Sin. But today, I just have to extend the invitation to you. I invite you to like this video, share it to your social media platforms, your group chats, and you know what? You already know where to send all of this to. So enough of that. Sit back, relax, and get ready to enjoy today's episode titled Execution Order. This episode is set in an unknown location. The angel Frediel opened his eyes to find himself in a room awash in the purest light as far as the eye could see. Seated across from him were three archangels in huge, throne-like chairs with gold trimmings. Each archangel wore a golden band with a black line running through the center, an elegant touch against the black tunics they wore. He was unsure if he would ever get used to it. The raw pulse of power that was an archangel, composed and regal, mixed in with lightning quick speed and power. He eagerly awaited the day he became an archangel, a six-winged being charged with protecting an aspect of creation. Right now, however, the reason behind his summons was nothing close to good. "Good day, archangels," he greeted, head bowed as he knelt. "Greetings, young one," the most senior archangel greeted. "You know why you have been called to this room, yes?" "Yes, Archangel Gabriel," the younger angel replied. "Come, come, stand, Frediel," the archangel to the furthest left spoke. "Show me." The most muscular of the three spoke, the archangel Daviel. Unbuttoning his golden trimmed white tunic, Frediel spread the material to expose the angry brand of a G just over his sternum. The archangel to the center heaved a sigh, her silver eyes boring into the younger angel standing before the execution council. "Oh, brother, how I missed thee," she thought to herself, knowing that Michael was more than equipped to make the necessary decision. "Can you do what is required of you?" Frediel's voice cracked even as he did his best to hold her gaze. "Yes, Archangel." The archangel to the left of Gabriel came to his feet in a fluid motion as he crossed over to where the younger angel's face caved. Still in his seat, the archangel Daviel folded his arms even as his eyes softened. "We should relieve him of this obligation," he offered via a mental connection to the archangel Gabriel. "You would deny him the opportunity to prove himself?" "You should trust his judgment," Gabriel replied along the same mental pathway. "As you wish," Daviel replied, in turn trusting the judgment of one of the most senior beings of creation. "You can do this, yes?" Kamael asked, his arm holding the younger angel by the shoulders. Not waiting for a response, he turned and returned to his seat. "If you encounter any difficulties, you will request assistance. Is that clear?" Daviel asked. "Yes, Archangel," Frediel replied, drawing a long blade of crackling light out of thin air, once more stoic in demeanor. "Go." Gabriel waved her hand, breaking the summons as Frediel returned to his physical body. Not even a power yet, and already called upon for an execution order, Gabriel murmured, before also returning to her physical body. Gigi wrung her hands in a small towel as she turned away from the sink, the sound of gusting wind reaching her ears. Her spine tensed as she caught the look in the angel's eyes through the window. His wings were spread as he crouched atop a thin railing, a blank look on his face. Jerking his head upward, he leapt backwards off the railing before shooting upwards in one beat of his wings. Salim cursed beneath his breath as the windows rattled. "Is the rain coming, Hayati?" he asked. "No," Gigi replied as she picked up their sleeping son, stopping long enough for a toe-curling kiss. The tightness in her chest eased slightly as her other half stared at her with a deep, low-lidded gaze of hunger. She went to him with no hesitation as he palmed the back of her neck to pull her closer for another demonstration of affection. Simply angling her body so that their sleeping son was not caught in the middle, Gigi sighed softly into the confines of his mouth as the pads of his free hand slid beneath the ends of her top to rest on her waist. "Now, mortal," came the angel's voice through her mind. Gigi shivered at the chill in his tone, stepping back from the napalm fire that was Salim. Turning away from him with a wink and a bite of her lip, Gigi exited the kitchen, stopping at the base of the stairs to see Salim's eyes still tracking her, even as he used the palm to readjust himself in the confines of his jeans. As the door to the attic closed behind her, Gigi fought the urge to cry out to Salim to take their son and get as far away as possible. One, because she knew Salim would simply come running through the door, ignoring her directive, and secondly, because of the total stranger that stood across from her. The angel glowed from the golden highlights in his hair to the blazing jewels his eyes had now become. His wings were spread wide, the edges of which glowed in the afternoon sun. "Do you know what you have done?" he asked, a gloved hand resting on the scabbard of a sword, still in its sheath. "I protected one of my own," Gigi replied, trying to breathe past the crushing power. "And in doing so, you broke the rules of our agreement. I rid the world of one less sick, twisted person, and the rest of her sentence died in her throat as Frediel's face came inches from her own. "It was not your call to make." This close, she could make out the pools of liquid his eyes swam in as he gripped her by the neck. "Now you leave behind a husband and a son to mourn you," he whispered, dropping her to the ground in a heap, a single golden tear rolling down his cheek as he drew on the sword hanging off of his waist. "Not necessarily," a voice offered from a shaded corner of the room. Henri breathed deeply, fighting the darkness threatening the near corners of his vision as he watched the younger angel whirl with sword in hand. He maintained his grip on Oleski's shoulder as he felt his body catch itself after their rushed change of location. They had clearly barely made it in time, needing first to stash Evangeline in a secure zone before grabbing a hold of his aid and dispersing their molecules to where they now stood. "Who are you?" the younger angel asked, sword still at the ready, his flesh still pulsing with leashed power. A being eons your senior, young one, Henri replied in the ancient angelic tongue, taking off his fedora before running a hand through his low curls. How aware are you of your angelic history? Frediel lowered his sword slightly. Familiar, he replied, searching his memory for the notes that matched the face standing before him. The younger angel gasped as the stranger's eyes glowed the orange color of sunset. Henri smiled in response as comprehension dawned on the younger angel's face. A pillar, the young angel replied in a hushed whisper. Gathering his initial shock, Frediel tightened the grip on his sword, knowing now that he was in the presence of a witness to creation and one of the first of 4 archangels. Although the archangel's name had long been struck from all historical texts, mention was still made of the 2 archangels that had chosen to rebel. Every pillar was an archangel, but not every archangel was a pillar. What do you want? The younger angel asked, having sensed no malice or crushing evil the text had referred to in such vivid detail that his skin had crawled when he had first read the words. I came for her, Henri pointed, finger in the direction of the woman hugging herself, rocking slowly back and forth. She is to be put to death. A fate that neither of us seem keen to make a reality. Thus, I offer you an opportunity to save a mortal you care for, yet still keep your life, Henri ended, speaking in the most reasonable of tones. As the stranger's eyes glowed the color of hot coal once more, Frediel remembered the tiny footnote scrawled near the bottom of the scroll. If you encounter one of the fallen pillars, pray that it is not the one with eyes of purest white. They will never accept me if I simply let her go. No, no, Henri chuckled. We will take her from you. You understand, yes? He asked, gaze going from the angel's face to his wings and back to his face. No, Frediel trailed off. Yes, Henri replied. Anything else would be a stretch of the imagination. Decide her fate quickly. The window of opportunity is quickly dwindling. Frediel relaxed for the first time since receiving the termination order for Gigi, a mortal who had become a friend of sorts. His sword, wings, and eyes lost their glow as he returned the weapon to its scabbard. Do it. Wise move, Henri clapped cheerfully, drawing a jolt from the normally calm and unfazed Gigi, still rocking back and forth. Secure her, he instructed his aide. Sire, Aleski replied, before shrugging out of his coat and crossing slowly over to where the woman sat with tear-streaked eyes. Gigi fought the scream threatening to tear out of her throat as the big man approached her. His grey eyes held a ghost of kindness to them as he dropped level to her. Don't be afraid, he offered in fluent French, heavy with a Russian accent. What about my family? She asked, tears brimming as she already knew the answer. If all goes as planned, you and your family will one day be reunited. As the large man shifted out of her line of sight to drape the warm, large coat around her shoulders, Gigi locked eyes with Frediel. She half expected to see hatred, or maybe even a little bit of disappointment. What she was unprepared for was the open relief stamped on every plane of his face. "It is a good thing that you do not die this day," he nodded, speaking past the lump in his throat before turning away to look up into the face of the man standing over where he sat. Gigi gasped as the elegantly dressed man face-palmed the seated angel, the tips of his fingers digging into the cream face. "I must smother your mind, lest you call out for help instinctively," the man spoke, brandishing a dagger, the blade of which looked like red-hot coals. The man behind her must have anticipated her need to help, Gigi thought, as she found an arm wrapped around her waist, drawing her away from the carnage to come, a large palm covering her mouth as she screamed for her immortal friend. Gold-tipped white feathers were strewn all over the attic as the blade sliced through Frediel's left wing. As the blade continued through the expanse of wing, the feathers came away blood-soaked as blood vessels were in turn shredded. The angel made no sound as Henri soared into his wing, the serrated teeth of the dagger going deeper with each pull and push until finally he heard something heavy hit the attic floor. Gigi lost consciousness at the sight of a one-winged and blood-soaked Frediel. Frediel swayed to his feet, unfamiliar with the weight of only one wing, his mind still numb and unable to cry out. He knew, however, that the minute his mind was released, he would feel everything. Henri released his hold on the younger angel's mind, hastily casting a barrier over the pair next to the door, as the young angel's mouth peeled wide in a soundless scream that caused the louvers to all explode outwards, the force of which picked him off his feet and sent him headfirst into an old chest of drawers. Just as quickly, the energy disappeared as if it never was, the center of the room bearing only the burnt outline of a wing. Both the angel and severed wing now nowhere to be seen. Pulling himself from his landing spot, Henri yanked at the 2-foot shard of glass that lay buried just beneath his collarbone. Wiping off the blood on the sleeve of his now ruined shirt, he used the same shard to inspect his face and neck for any more damage. The skin that had been scraped off of his cheek was already beginning to heal itself. One of his eyes remained bloodshot from the impact. As his body began signaling him with the telltale signs of overuse, Henri quickly stumbled across to where both Aleski and the deadly sin lay unconscious, his barrier only enough to prevent fatal damage. Burrowing his hand into the inner fold of his navy blue blazer, he withdrew a single feather, aquamarine in color. Crushing the feather in his hand until only blue ash fell, he uttered the name of the one fallen angel he knew he could count on. Crocel. End of episode. Thanks for stopping by. Continue taking great care of yourself, and I'll see you back here at our next appointed time. Ciao for now, and as always, love and light.